The known universe is massive. According to NASA, it looks like it's around 14 billion light years to the oldest known star. That distance is literally astronomical. But what's interesting about all that space is that with everything that we've seen, the only planet that we know for a fact has life is this one. You would think that with those astronomical odds, that we would do everything that we could to help keep this one in a trillion planet to keep harboring what makes it special. We all live on this planet, and we should do our best to help keep it in the best condition possible. Throughout this speech, I'll go over why we need to save the Earth for the future generations and all life that calls this place home. Then I'll go over various research that has been collected and why this matters and affects us. Then I'll go over things that we can do to start the process of saving the Earth. The Earth is the one place where everything exists. Every living thing that we currently know of is collected right here. Climate change is a topic that no matter what age you are, this is something that is scary. If you're a baby boomer or a millennial, then your grandkids will grow up in a world that is vastly different from the one they grew up in. A world in which certain animals have gone extinct due to the heating world. According to The Guardian, just last year, an estimated billion crabs have died due to the oceans being heated through global warming. It's a fact like that that makes it terrifying for younger generations and the fear of the world that's to come. With the facts of the oceans warming and problems that stem from that, there are plenty of other facts that help boost the claim that climate change and global warming is a major problem for not only us today, but the children of tomorrow. Climate change and global warming is something that has too much research to be disregarded. According to Our World in Data, they've collected research on carbon emissions, and in just the last 100 years, we've gone from 11 billion tons worldwide to 55 billion tons. It is true that the world naturally goes through periods of time that more carbon emissions are released, and then it'll recess back and go to a normal amount. But currently, we're outputting more than at the previous highest points. Again, according to Our World in Data, they have collected research from the polar ice caps and can use it for carbon dating. They say that the previous highest mark for carbon was almost 300 parts per million, but that number today is well over 400 parts per million. With data like that, it's no wonder that scientists are worried about this issue and what it might become. Scientists from NASA have looked at Venus and see its hot, dense atmosphere and can make conclusions that Earth could potentially become like that if we don't take steps now. NASA talks about the runaway greenhouse effect and how its atmosphere is potentially like Earth's, but its greenhouse gases got out of control and led to it being the atmosphere that it is today. One debate that people have is that if we've gone too far, there's nothing that we can do. Because if we've gone over that hump, then the runaway greenhouse gases can start to take effect. And no matter what we do for our atmosphere, it's going to end up hot and dense and uninhabitable. If we've gone too far, then why should we try to stop it? I think that it's a valid way to think about this. If we've gone too far, why not just use as much fossil fuels as possible and build the most comfortable world before the atmosphere is just completely shot? The reason I don't think we should just give up and do this is because even if we are too far gone, we could still do something that could prolong that destruction. With more protocols and more anti-global warming legislation put into place, it could give us more time to create solutions to this problem. And if we aren't too far gone, then we could start to reverse the clock and get Earth back to its original carbon emissions. So even though we might be too far gone, we should still try to help the Earth as much as possible anyway, whether that be to give us more time or to start a healing process for the planet. But what are the best things that we can do to start to challenge climate change? The best things that can be done is to try and get the government and large companies to use less fossil fuels and plastic. If we can protest and help bring attention to these ideas, then hopefully the government and companies would realize that power and money doesn't matter in a world where no one exists. I know it's a large ask and it's something that won't be easy, but if we can take the first step down that road, then change can happen. The next thing that could be done to help would be to try and minimize your personal emissions. The way that we can do this is if we take a public transportation or walk if possible. That one seems like a no-brainer when talking about lowering your personal emissions, but there are some other lesser-known ideas that can help you become a greener person. A couple of these other ideas that each person can do is they can lower their meat intake and thrift clothes instead of buying new ones. In the meat industry, animals put out a lot of carbon emissions. According to The Guardian, meat industry actually accounts for nearly 60% of greenhouse gases put into the atmosphere. If you can lower your meat intake, then you can help lower the amount being put out. Then when it comes to thrifting and going to secondhand stores over brand new, is that a lot of those old clothes end up being in landfills, with the BBC saying that nearly 65% of all new clothes end up being thrown away. You might not think that with just you doing this, it's not going to make a big difference. But if you start and spread the word, then hopefully it won't be just you for very long. If we can start to make a change, then step by step, little by little, those changes can make a huge difference. Overall, we need to protect the Earth. Every living thing in the entire known universe is collected on this rock. So we should really take note of this and do everything that we can to help save the planet. There are simply too many facts to ignore about climate change. Every single scientist has research to back the points of global warming and its potential harm, so we should take heed of the warnings and start to help. In order to help, we should ask the big companies and the government to make the changes that they can. But on an individual level, we should all try to be better. If we can all start to make small changes in our daily lives that can help the Earth, you should start to make them not only for the Earth of today, but for the Earth of the children of tomorrow and onward. Thank you.